So you want to know how I became a high school counselor with no license yet? Well, stay tuned. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Aniya Danyea, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Here on this channel I like to do makeup, hair vlogs, lifestyle videos, a little bit of everything. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe. Y'all, I haven't recorded a video in a minute, but I'm back. Okay, I missed you guys so much, but I'm not gonna ramble on. We're gonna jump right into it. Y'all know why we here. I'm telling y'all about my job. I'm gonna tell y'all a little backstory about how I got my job, what I do at my job. I'm gonna walk you through like a day in the life. I'm gonna tell you how I like it, and I'm gonna tell you my future plans. Okay, I'm gonna be looking down because I'm on my phone, so let's just jump right into it. Let's first start with some backstory because y'all need to know about me and my background, right? If you've never watched my channel before, first of all, what are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe so we can get to know each other. But y'all would know that I have been a case manager before I got this job, and a lot of you guys really like my case manager videos and stuff like that. That is how I really grew my community on here. So shout out to y'all that's been watching me since I started my case manager job. Before I get into my jobs and stuff, I'm going to tell you guys about my education that I have so far, and then I'm going to tell you about the required education for a normal high school counselor. I am not your typical high school counselor, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So education, so I of course graduated high school, got my AA, and then I got my bachelor's from the illustrious Morgan State University. Go Bears, go HBCUs. Then I went to Capella University to get my master's in clinical counseling, and if y'all know, I do not recommend Capella. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself, okay? Don't do it. But I am still in school right now to get my master's degree in clinical counseling with Capella. However, I am 99.9% done my degree. I've had a year of internships. I took my practicums. I did my residencies and everything. Your girl is just waiting to finish out one more semester, and then I can sit for my exam to hopefully become licensed, all right? A little bit backstory about me. Now let's get into my jobs, okay? My first real job fresh out of undergrad, I worked as a behavioral health technician. Let me back up a little bit. Before I even became a behavioral health technician, I had a lot of background in education. My whole family on my mom's side is in education. I'm an SG-Roll, you know, education, that's what we about. That's what we about. So I was an assistant teacher for first grade. I did a lot of stuff like during the summers with camps, teaching kids and stuff like that, mostly younger kids. I had most of my education experience while I was in college. After college, I went to something more that would pay more, and I was like, let me do behavioral health technician. Now the pay wasn't that great, but the experience was. I became a behavioral health technician for children with autism, and I worked with them one-on-one, you know, doing ABA, and I wrote lesson plans, everything like that. So again, education, but also involves the behavioral side that I like with psychology, okay? Did that for a year or two, I believe, and then I was like, yo, it's not cutting it. COVID came, and after COVID, the money wasn't there. I was getting used to the stimulus money, so I was like, I need more for myself. So I decided to apply for a case manager job with no experience, no anything about case manager. I didn't even know what a case manager was, okay? But I got the job. After 3 interviews, your girl got the job, and I did it for a year. I really liked it. I did gain a lot of experience, and I'm not gonna go too much about my case manager because I have a lot of videos on that. While I was a case manager, I stopped for a little bit and became a case manager for the state of Maryland, working with inmates. So I would go into the prisons and stuff. Only did that for about a month, y'all, and then I went back to my role as a case manager, and I was like, yo, it has to be something more with a bachelor's degree in psychology where I can make more money because the cost of living was getting expensive. I saw a job on Indeed about being a counselor, and I was like, I can't even apply for it because I don't have my license. Typically, when you're working in a public school setting, you must have your bachelor's degree. A lot of times they ask for your master's degree because you need to be licensed, okay? And I did not have any of those qualifications, so I was like, you know, I'm not even qualified, so I'm not going to do this job. However, I listened to God and I applied for the job anyway. I got an email a day or two later, and the principal was like, the vice principal was like, hey, can you come in for an interview? I ignored it because I was like, you know, I don't even have my license. She's not going to accept me. I'm not going to waste her time. I'm not going to waste my time. So I ignored it. Something in me, Jesus, told me to go back and respond to that email, and I did, y'all. So I responded to the email. I was like, yes, I would love to come in. I don't have my license, but I would love to come in, you know, and just see what we can do, okay? Now, I did apply to a private school. That is how I am able to be a counselor without having my full license yet. Private schools have different rules and regulations about who they can hire, because you know, if you're a public school, you have to go through the regulations of the state, of course, and they have more strenuous regulations, all right? But I did the interview. My vice principal, well, principal now, she likes me and stuff like that, hired me and brought me on board. The deal was like, I have to get my license. If I want to stay here and continue here, I need to get my license, which I was planning to do anyway, right? Cool. So I'm at a private school right now. That is how I got to where I'm at, all right? Through God. So that is how I am able to be a counselor now. I am still actively in school, but before I even had this job, I had experience with therapy. Counselors in public schools have a little bit of different role than I do, and I can get into that in another video if you guys want to know the difference about public and private school counseling. I won't go too in depth on it in this video, but I will say that I am more social emotional learning focused. I do not deal with really academics and stuff like that unless I'm helping a kid create like an academic plan or something like related to their mental health. I focus on mental health. My school is blessed enough to have a college counseling center where every grade level goes and they can get the help from the college counselor, and then we have somebody else that oversees academics. So I don't really oversee like scheduling or anything like that. I literally just work with the kids one-on-one, groups sometimes, go into classrooms to teach lessons, and sometimes I even lead trainings. I do work alongside of a social worker, and if y'all watched my videos before, y'all know that's my good friend Kia. We were both case managers together and came into this new position together, her as a social worker and me as the counselor. Now we're gonna get into some job duties, y'all. I'm just gonna run down the list on my phone, and this is not everything that I do, but this gives you a good idea of what I do. So my title is counselor, and I oversee the counseling department, which is me and the social worker. However, I don't like to oversee the social worker. Her and I work together as a team, but I will go to meetings sometimes and represent for the both of us, or sometimes she will go to meetings for us and represent for the both of us. We really like to work together as a team, but when it comes down to business and talking to administration and stuff, I will report back to them unless there's like a planned meeting for the whole counseling department and the principal and vice principal. Okay, now job duties for real this time. It's a lot, y'all, but I oversee the counseling part. Like I said, I do one-on-one sessions with students, small groups, classroom lessons. I was in the beginning of the year the 10th grade life skills teacher. Right now the social worker and I switched, so she does the 10th grade girls right now, and I took over her class, which is study hall for the seniors. I also attend grade level meetings, which happen every single day, Monday through Thursday. I do parent meetings, that's phone calls, email, sometimes in the school. I also coach girls lacrosse. That's not included in my job duties though, y'all, but it is another great experience that I've had working at the school. I refer students out and create connections with different community organizations for mental health, like different therapists, different outpatient centers, inpatient centers, hospitals, PRP workers, and stuff of that nature. I collaborate with all the faculty in school, including teachers and administration. And also I am the committee chair for the accreditation process that we're in right now. So I hope that gives you like a little bit of taste of what I do as a counselor here at this high school. Now that I've given you background and told you some of my job duties, I'm gonna walk you through a day in the life of being a high school counselor. So our hours are a little bit weird. My report time is 7:30 to 3:30, which is a little bit longer than most typical high schools, but I feel like it's definitely for a reason. Since we are in a city school, you know, we want to keep kids in the school longer. Y'all know I work in a high school, so it's grades 9 through 12. They have 50-minute classes with a 50-minute lunch period. Anything can happen at any single time of the day, y'all. So just remember that as I walk you through my day. Let's start like from the top. Recently I've been getting up 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to do this, but I like to spend time with God in the morning. I like to do a little self-care, shower and everything, get my mind right before I enter in and meet with the children, right? On a really good day, I used to like arriving to the school around like 6:45, 7 o'clock when nobody's there. It's peace and quiet, and I like to plan out my day. So say I got in at 7 o'clock. I sit there and plan out my day, but the first thing I do is check that email. Even before I leave the house, I check my email. I check our coverage sheet. We have a coverage sheet because sometimes I do have to cover classes for teachers when they are not there because we do not have that many staff members. We are a smaller school, but when a teacher is out, we do all fill in and stuff like that, okay? I respond to any emails that I didn't get to the very next day. Now, while I did have classes, I would lesson plan beforehand, but then I would just go over my lessons in the morning and make sure I had all my materials gathered for the classes that I had that day. After that, you guys, I use my planner to plan out the children that I want to see for that day. I do have a referral process for my kids, but that didn't come until later on. Y'all know this is my first year, so I really didn't know what I was doing. Now I have a better idea, and I feel like I have a better system for seeing the children. But before, the children could just come to me when they wanted. However, that was getting a lot for me, and that was also not giving everybody a fair chance to have access to me. Now I have a referral system. Like I said, I check the referral system in the morning, and I like to see children based on their need. Some people have a lot more mental health issues than others. While all issues are important, I just use the system just to help me, because I do see all the children in the school, 300 of the kids to one counselor. Now my social worker, she does help me out when she can, but she also has other things on her plate as well. So I make my schedule, and within those 50-minute class sessions, I like to schedule my children 30 minutes for each session. Of course, these sessions run over sometime, but I'll get into that later. So I'll send out a schedule on a Google Calendar. We all use Google Suites. I just type in the name, send the student an invite. They'll get the email to accept. Most of the time, the kids don't check their email, so I'll just follow up with them in person and just let them know, like, hey, we have an appointment. You requested an appointment. It's scheduled for this day, okay? So I schedule out all my time. I also have to schedule in my meetings. I also have to schedule in my break, because I don't have a set break. So there's a lot of days where I don't even take a break, y'all, and I won't eat until like 6 o'clock at night. But I have really been trying to schedule in a break during the day. After I make my schedule, I begin seeing my kids right away. The first student will come and we'll talk. A lot of times in these sessions, we like to do different activities. Most of the time, I really like to talk to get to know the child, to build that rapport, because this is my first year here. I want to know about them. I want to learn about them. So I'm taking notes while I'm talking to the student. And then at the end of our sessions, I just like to wrap up a little bit about what we talked about. I give them assignment if necessary. And then I make plans for what we want to talk about in the future sessions to come, okay? Then I see the next kid. However, during these sessions, guys, I will have so many other students coming by, try to meet with me and stuff like that. And the traffic in the office became so bad, I had to go by appointments only, okay? And the kids weren't very fond of that, but it does help control some of the traffic in the hallways and also in the office, and gives every student a chance to get to meet with me. That is what a session looks like. Like I said, during the day, I'll have meetings. I go to these grade level meetings, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, all have a different day that they meet on. And when I attend these meetings, I listen to what they have to say and share as well about the students. I'm just listening to see if there's anything that sounds off, or anything that they notice that may be off with the student, or any changes or any absences. The social worker does track the students' absences, but the absences a lot of times are related to mental health issues. So I try to meet with these students that they bring up in these meetings, just to see if there's anything going on at home, or anything going on mentally or in school. We try to figure out why they're missing so much school. Also in these meetings, I give reports on the students that I have been meeting with. Of course, I don't play about confidentiality, guys. Y'all know I don't play about that, okay? I keep it on a need to know basis. I just fill the teachers in to let them know that a student may be dealing with something like a mental health issue, and I only disclose what the student lets me disclose. I ask the student first, are you okay if I share da-da-da with your teachers, okay? And normally they say yes. They want their teachers to understand why they may be failing, or why they may not be coming to class, or why they may be sleeping in their class. We just want the teachers and the students to have an understanding of each other, so we can work together to get the student to be the best that they can be academically and mentally. Most of the grade level meetings are similar. However, it's a little bit different when it comes to 12th grade, because these are our seniors, and seniors have a lot of obligations to complete before graduation, of course. I like to keep track of the seniors. My wonderful co-worker, she's the best. She made like a Excel spreadsheet of all the seniors, all the obligations, that everything, the requirements that the students needed. I'll just track on that sheet as well, and just go in periodically. And when I meet with the students, I will bring up like, hey, you still have this many service hours to get, or did you apply for FAFSA, things like that, things that they need for college and stuff. Like, I don't go too much into college with them, but I will just be like, hey, don't forget that you have to do this, don't forget that you have to do that. And since we're at school, I always check in with them on their academics, just to see how they're doing in case anything comes up. But I don't get in too in-depth with their academics unless they, you know, disclose that something is going on. And typically after my grade level meetings, I have lunch. I like to take my lunch break right after those meetings. Sometimes my lunch break can be 2 minutes. Sometimes I don't get no lunch break and I have a session while I'm eating lunch, and sometimes I get to enjoy my full 50 minutes of my lunch break, you guys. A lot of the times I do let some students come into my office when I'm having lunch, so I can have lunch with them, I can have a session with them, or we just talk. Honestly, I don't like to always have sessions with them and be like working on something. I like to just talk with them, build a relationship. Sometimes I have students come in and we'll make different coping toys or like stress objects and little fidget toys and everything like that. Some of my students are so creative, you guys. And my students honestly bring me more ideas than I find myself. After my lunch break, if I get a lunch break, I jump right back into my sessions. On Wednesdays, we might have a team meeting, which is the whole school gets together and discuss about different things. And then sometimes there's ILT meetings. ILT meetings are instructional leadership team meetings. Now, this is from all the different content areas: history, math, Spanish, like, you know, the different subject areas, okay? And we get together and we meet with the principal and vice principal. The vice principal is like head of academics. She knows what she's doing. She's on top of it. And my principal, of course, oversees everything that we do. And in these meetings, it is really geared towards education and academics and how the content leaders can lead their team and different things to look out for. We go over the calendar, upcoming events, ways to build relationships amongst ourselves as ILT team, but we also brainstorm ways to build the school culture. And these meetings typically last from 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, so it doesn't seem like too much for what I'm saying, but y'all, keep in mind, I told y'all anything can happen during the day. There are several days I've come in, planned out my whole day, and I don't like to plan back to back to back to back to back because I know something may come up, or I will leave time extra so I can complete a note, or a student will come in, a teacher will come in to tell me something, or I'll have to report somewhere, I have to cover a class, an emergency happened. Anything can go down at any time, okay? Students can come to me crying with a breakdown. Students can be having a panic attack, like CPS phone calls may have to be made. Police may have to be called, like anything can happen, you guys. We are in a high school in the inner city and there's a lot that can happen. Our students go through a lot. And it's not like surface level problems, mini problems. Our students are facing real problems, especially coming out of the pandemic. I do have some really strong students, you guys, but I hate the fact that they have to be so strong because of the things that they've been through. I rambled on a little bit, y'all, so I'm going to draw back a little bit and go back to what I was talking about, like everything that pops up. So some emergency situations that could come up: a suicide attempt, a suicide ideation, a CPS phone call, suspected abuse, suspected child abuse, sexual abuse, or any complaints from any teachers or any staff members or any older adults that may come up. Panic attacks, like I said. There has been an issue with like marijuana and edibles and children having a bad reaction to edibles, or children being kicked out of their home. I'm trying to just think. It's just anything could happen at any point of the day. And it's just stuff that you wouldn't expect, and you have to be there. Like I said, I'm part of the administration team, so a lot of times when these situations happens, parents are involved. We call parents, we have meetings. There is the principal in this meeting, the vice principal, we have a dean of students. The dean of students really like oversees everybody, y'all. Honestly, he oversees everybody. He keeps everybody in check. He'll be in that meeting, and it'll be the parents and the students, me and the social worker sometimes as well. The social worker is also known as the parent liaison. She does talk to the parents and connect with parents and have a parent group, but I do also still have those connections with parents as well, especially since I'm dealing with their kids' mental health. I like to keep them in the loop with what's going on with their child. So we have these meetings, we'll conduct these meetings, and you know, we'll decide a game plan for the student. We always want to do what's in the best interest for the student. We never want to kick anybody out of our school or anything like that. We want to come up with a realistic solution and a plan for the students to excel at our school. Okay, that was me giving you like a little day in the life. Anything can happen any moment. It doesn't matter how you plan your day, y'all. Anything could happen, okay? Just be real loose with your planning if you are becoming a counselor. So now I'm gonna tell you guys how I like it. I did get hired the summer before the school year actually started. So that summer I could have been planning, but I didn't necessarily know what to plan for. I was, of course, researching and stuff like that. I do have a cousin who is a counselor at an elementary school, and she's really like my mentor, y'all. She's been helping me. She was like, you need to get this together, this together, this together, this together. And I was planning all these things. However, it's a different ballgame when you actually in it. I was excited those first few weeks, y'all. I was ready. I was like, I got this. I got everything I needed. I printed out resources, activities. I got the books. I got fidget toys. I got just like a bunch of stuff. Thinking I'm prepared. Y'all, we started in August. September, I was already stressed and overwhelmed, okay? Because I really did not plan how I should have, but it's because I didn't know. But when you know better, you do better. And now I'm feeling like I know better, okay? So I got really overwhelmed. It was hard because I signed up to be a counselor. I didn't know I was going to be a teacher until like the week before school had started, you guys. So that was also really stressful. I'm not saying I didn't know anything about lesson planning, but I didn't know lesson planning like for a whole classroom. I was an assistant teacher. I was never a full classroom teacher before. I had to come up with lesson plans, activities for the students, while on top of, you know, coming up with a caseload, maintaining a note system, like everything like that. We were starting from scratch with this counseling office, okay? We were starting this thing from the bottom up. I built my connection with the students very quickly. It was easy for me to form a relationship with the 10th grade class more because I saw them more often. But my principal did ask me and the social worker to go around to introduce ourselves to every single student in the building. She took half of the students, I took the other half of the students, but we told the students about each other, told them where the office was, how they can get in contact with us, just so they could know and bring more exposure to the counseling service that we offer. So around December, guys, I was a little burnt out. I went to my principal and vice principal. They were very supportive. They heard my concerns, and then they swapped me and the social worker, like I told you guys earlier. Right now, I do study hall with the seniors, but it's study hall. I don't have the lesson plan. I don't have to grade papers. I don't have to come up with activities. Yeah, I just that burden, it wasn't a burden necessarily, but it was just an extra thing that I wasn't prepared for at the time. I have a lot more freedom now. I can meet with a lot more students in the school now that I do have only 3 classes, whereas before I had 5 classes. And right now we are on spring break, so we're almost done this school year. I'm almost done my first year as a counselor. Oh my gosh, it kind of went by really fast, but I love the job, you guys. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I do plan to come back next year if they want me back, of course. Going into next year, I feel a lot more optimistic because I feel like I have a better understanding. I built relationships with faculty members as well as the student body, and something that really has helped me this year is feedback from the students, feedback from the teachers and administration. Okay, I accept all feedback, you guys. Listening and taking in what people have told me to change or to do differently or do more of, I've listened to that feedback and it's been really helpful. I feel like you need to be in a position where you can learn from other people and hear about yourself and correct the things that you're doing wrong. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, however, and I'll continue to make mistakes along the way because I'm not perfect and no human is, but I have learned so much. Now I feel like I've created bonds within the school and I have my support system, people to lean on when I feel like the burden is getting too tough for me at times. I have so many more plans for next year, the things that I want to do with the students, and I honestly would love to teach a life skills class again with the students now that I have a better grip and better basis of my job and my job duties and responsibilities. I kind of touched on my future plans already. Like I said, I do want to be a counselor again, of course. I'm still in school getting my master's. I'm supposed to be in my last semester, prayerfully by the grace of God. This will be my last semester so I can go and get fully licensed. And after I get my full license, of course, they're going to have to give me a raise because the price done went up. But I do plan to do counseling in the school, but also counseling part-time on the side, like one-on-one therapy, outpatient therapy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that gave you a better understanding of what I do as a counselor. Again, if you guys want to see a video about what I really do as a counselor in a private school and how it differs from a public school setting, please let me know. I would love to share it with you guys. Any counselor questions, drop them down below. Case manager questions, drop them down below. Capella schooling questions, clinical counseling questions, drop them down below. You guys are my community. I want to help you. You guys have been helping me through this journey. Y'all don't even know how much you've been helping me through this journey, but talk to me down below. Tell me, would you ever be a counselor? Is it something that's interesting to you? If you are a current counselor now, give me some tips and tricks, please. I'm only coming into my 2nd year and I'm still learning. This is all still new to me. This is a new community to me. If you want to connect and reach out, comment down below, follow me on Instagram, DM me. I'm open to questions. I also talk a little bit about my experience too on TikTok if you guys want to follow me on there. All right guys, I love you so much. Thank you for watching this video.